All right. Welcome back to
What
another
up?
brand new episode of
Oh, yeah.
Opinion City. I'm King Ralphie's Parmesan. We are your hosts, and we have got episodes 1 through 100 in the rearview mirror. We are on our way to episode 200. And as we do, man, do we have a big one. If you thought 100 was big, check out 101 because we got Drew Gulak himself will be here. You have seen him multiple times on the channel already. However, this time we've got him for a full interview. I know, Sean, you are super excited. So we've got a great top five. We're super excited about animated television series. We're super excited for that. So with that being said, let's get this party started. Episode 101 starts right now. All right. Well, welcome to the King Ralph and Drew Gulak show. What's going on, man?
It's just you and me.
For
We got
right
Sean out
now,
of here. We booted Sean out.
Yeah, Sean's having some technical difficulties, so we will bear with him for the moment. He should be joining us shortly.
Look at little me.
Yeah, do you like that? Little
Yeah.
you. Yep. You're actually on the other side there, but that's.
Am
Yep.
I?
Oh no, your name's there. Yeah, little
Yeah.
person you was on the
Little
other
person
side.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so angry.
Yeah.
So
Well,
purple.
he's had quite a time of things. So I see. Oh,
Whoa.
I see you are at Catch Point right now, correct?
We're here. We're in the middle of practice. I don't know if you can hear any of the commotion going on behind me, but Hot
Can hear a
Sauce
little
Tracy
bit.
Williams is
Yeah.
leading class right now. So you might
Tremendous.
hear some tumbling and thumping and thudding of the ring that we have. We have a 20 by 20 foot ring here.
Nice.
At school, so it's making
Well,
noise
so
right now.
If that's not a glowing endorsement for Catch Point, you just said Hot Sauce Tracy Williams is back there teaching a class. Like
He's in there.
Can't.
Yeah, you might get to see a little clip.
Oh yeah, maybe. Oh, there's some stuff going on back there. Yeah. So things are going well at Catch Point.
Things are going so well here. I mean, we're about to start our 11th class. We run for our beginners for people who are new getting into wrestling. We run a 6-week intensive camp.
Yeah.
Most wrestling schools, if they're doing a camp style thing, it'll be 8 weeks or 12 weeks. We do it in 6, and at the end of 6 weeks, we have you wrestle your first match on a show. It is not a situation where we're like choreographing a match or anything like that to get you ready. It is the day of. You find out what you're doing, who you're wrestling. We invite friends and families down to the show, and you get to perform. We make sure everyone looks presentable and ready to go on the independence as a beginner level wrestler as best as we can. And it has been like such an awesome success. The school's been around for a little over a year and a half now. And like I said, we've had 11 classes so far, and our 10th just graduated not too long ago. People of all different ages and backgrounds and from all over the country have come to train here. It's an honor, for them to pick us alongside Wheeler Yuta and Hot Sauce Tracy Williams. The three of us put kind of the program together. And we have other coaches like Nate Wallace and Vito Von Starr and Kurt Robinson and Andy Social and Nick Burke and Joker, who come through here quite a bit. So you get a wide berth of training. And personally, for me, it's always people who I've either helped in the past or people who have helped me. So I've been very fortunate to have the upbringing I've had in Philadelphia. And that's where we are. We're in Philly.
That's incredible. When you went through that list there, if anybody knows anything about independent wrestling at all, that is like a who's who. You hear these names that you're seeing, headlining indie shows all up and down the East Coast. A very talented list of people you have there.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, everyone has a good amount of experience. I didn't even touch on. We have Ultimo Ant and
Late Night Lucha.
Yeah, we have a lucha class on Friday as he kind of heads up, and just gives a little bit of difference. And then we're starting up some jiu-jitsu programs here.
Oh wow!
Which will kind of help even out things on the grappling sides. Saturdays we do remote learning, kind of like what you and me are doing now. Only we throw a match up, and then everyone would be involved in like a roundtable discussion to get better. And we have different veterans pop in there to kind of give you advice on whatever you need as an independent performer, no matter where you are. So we have people all over the world who do tune in and are a part of that.
That's incredible. That's a really great opportunity for people. So you mentioned, you're in Philadelphia. So talk a little bit about what Philadelphia means to you, because I mean you are a huge Philadelphia guy. It shows in just about everything you do. You've got most recently I saw the Phillies team uniform gear you had.
Yeah. So I mean that's just a Mike Schmidt jersey with like some really cool Philadelphia boots.
Listen,
shout out to Bobby Lee Jr. Got me those boots. The only time I've worn those in a match was in Saudi Arabia during the World Series run. So yeah, I love the city. I owe everything to who I am as a person to this city. I'm very grateful that like I grew up in Philadelphia proper. Just my whole life I've lived. So I grew up in Fox Chase up in Northeast Philly. Very lucky to have grown up there. Started training in South Philadelphia when the CCW and Chikara schools moved down to the ECW arena. So I was there every day after high school at Northeast High School. It's the biggest school in the city. I moved over to Drexel for 2 years in West Philly and lived in Powelton Village, which is a slightly less nicer area. Went back up to Northeast Philly, lived in Ronhurst for a couple of years. Then I moved down to Fairmount, lived there for a couple of years. I went to school at community college all the way in the great Northeast. Fairmount's down in Center City, and then, I don't know, like WWE happened and I had to move to Florida. And then like we were told you have the option to move back home or stay in town. And I stayed because I wanted to be close to the Performance Center. That was it as an option, not required. The cruiserweights were not, required to do any of that kind of stuff after getting down there. So, I tried to make myself as valuable as possible to the company as I could for as long as I could. But I couldn't stay away. I just couldn't stay away from Philly. I was as often as I could. I'm visiting home. I'm here now. I opened a business downtown. So I'm very much here and active in the city all the time. That's just the location, I didn't even talk about like, I don't know, Michael Cole always said the working class, blue collar, still a tough city of Philadelphia. Like, I guess, I don't know. I'm not the construction worker guy, but I am building the ring, I'm doing that kind of stuff. I'm learning the tech side of things.
Yeah.
And I'm helping a program and teach, that I guess can be considered blue collar to an extent. But Philly is very much an underdog city. That's something we pride ourselves on, is that we are the underdogs. We are the ones that you either love to root for or you love to root against, depending on what your relationship is with the city. And it's funny, like getting to live in other parts of the world, like there really is no place like Philly. And it's the amount of soul and character and personality that the town has. Like there is such like a fear. Like Jamie Noble came up to Catchpoint and did a seminar here, I think in March, right? And he was driving to the school and he called me up. He called me up on the road, getting the building. He's like, "Hey, am I in the right neighborhood here?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what street?" He's like, "I don't know. It looks kind of rough." And I'm like, "Yeah, you're in the right neighborhood, right?" But like our neighborhood, that's the thing with Philly. Like, some bad stuff does happen in a
Mhm.
big urban environment like
Sure.
this, right? And there is like some nasty stuff that goes on outside in the neighborhood occasionally.
Mhm.
But like if you're in the neighborhood, like we really care about the neighborhood. Like
Mhm.
the people
Yeah.
here care about the neighborhood. It's the city of brotherly love for a reason. Like we
Sure.
really do care. We'll tell you, you know, straight up like how we feel, point blank.
Mhm. Oh, yeah.
If something's agitating us, we'll just vent it out and say it.
Mhm.
Won't be short with people. And like
Sure.
I've seen firsthand how that can like rub people the wrong way, or they'll look at me sideways if I said a comment
Mhm.
that shouldn't have been said. That's just because I'm brash, dude. I'm from Philadelphia,
Sure.
bro. That's
Of
what I
course.
that's where that comes from. We tell
Yeah.
you how we feel, and we have no patience. We just want things. We just get it done short, and it's more
Mhm.
like, yeah, come on, dude. What are you talking about? Yeah, like
Mhm.
right away. We want things done.
Yeah.
So there is a brashness to the town, and it's an attitude. It's just a total attitude.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love it so
Mm.
much. Yeah,
And
and the
sports
food's
fans.
good too. Go ahead.
Oh, food. Are you kidding me, man? And it's
Yeah.
funny though, because you'll be in the city now. So when not this time, but when the Eagles won the Super Bowl the last time I was down for the Super Bowl parade, and I stayed in the city, and I stayed at an Airbnb, not one that I usually stayed at in a different area. And dude, you're walking the streets and you just find a place. Like I found this Mexican restaurant out of nowhere, and it was the most incredible food. And like I never would have known it, but you just roam the streets and you find such amazing things.
It's nuts. Like the restaurant scene in Philly is like crazy big right now. I think most of my Instagram feed is just like what types of restaurants are in Philadelphia opening up,
Yeah.
Top 10 chocolate cakes in Philadelphia.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff though.
Yeah. So sports fans have known about Philly for quite a while, but the wrestling world really got a taste kind of globally of what Philly was like last year with WrestleMania. And then when you look at the crowd last year and you look at the crowd this year, you really see, what the Philly crowd is. You see the passion, you see the intensity, you see, just the, as you said, sort of the brashness, the openness. Like if they like something, they like it, but if they don't like something, they are going to tell you. And you saw that on a global scale.
Totally. Yeah. We do that to our own sports teams, right? Like
sure. Trust the process.
Jalen Hurts one, of course. Yeah. He's a great example. He's amazing, super talented, crazy good. But like once we get a hint of like you don't want to do something, or like maybe you're having an off day and you're making an excuse about it, we let you know. When it comes to the wrestling fans, I talked about Combat Zone Wrestling. I started training there in 2003, 4, and that crowd, getting to come from that audience, set me up to do whatever I wanted to do in wrestling. Like because I had that relationship with the fans, where this audience literally like they just saw a guy, I don't know, lit on fire, falling off a balcony through a table, hit with glass, covered in barbed wire, and I watched it enough times to see that audience react to where it was like that exact scenario would have just happened, and they'd be like this. Because they'd seen it before.
Yeah. It's become commonplace.
That doesn't mean that they didn't like it or whatever. It just meant that they just like it's what they're used to. So like Philadelphia wrestling fans have seen everything. They know, they think they know everything. They've seen everything.
Sure.
So like to really like earn the respect of a Philadelphia wrestling fan base, like that's to me like the ultimate sign of like someone who can do what we do at the highest level. So like to grow up in that hostile environment where like literally if a match for whatever reason wasn't going as smoothly as it could have, they're going to play the song Voodoo on the speakers and send out Nick Gage and Nate Hatred to jump the barricade to just attack you mid-match. Like that's because the audience felt a certain way or whatever.
Sure.
That's literally what we had to worry about when we started wrestling. So yeah, like I'm very fortunate that I come from Philadelphia. So lucky. Wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. And like it just makes me want to give back to the city even more, So like opening the school here was a no-brainer, man. Like there's no wrestling schools in town that, like that's a wrong to me. That's a bummer. Like when
Mhm.
there's a huge passion for WrestleMania was here last year, right?
Sure.
Like
Sure.
the city needs it, and the city
Mhm.
is good at it, and it's just, yeah, it was so important for me to open Catchpoint in Philly, and
Yeah.
the town's starting to embrace us, and find out more about us. I try to
Mhm.
keep things kind of low key. People who really want to go for it will seek us out.
Sure.
So yeah, the reception's been great. The school's been awesome. We're still going right now. They're in the ring
It's
running
very cool.
drills. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're open every day. It's a blessing, and
Mhm.
it's hard work, but it's worth it.
That's awesome. All
Thanks.
right, so let's kind of take it back a little bit. A young Drew Gulak. How did this whole thing with wrestling get started for you?
Like, how did I first become a fan? That kind of
Sure.
thing. Like, because I
Mhm.
was a fan before I started wrestling. Um, my Where I used to live, when I was little, my mom had a friend who lived pretty close to us, and their family
Mhm.
watched like all the pay-per-views. They were into it.
Oh
Like
yeah.
my parents weren't really into wrestling.
Mhm.
So we used to, me and my brother, who's 3 years younger than me, Rory, we used to go over there and we used to
Mhm.
watch like The Undertaker and Yokozuna and Lex Luger
Yeah.
and Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon and the One Two
Mhm.
Three Kid, like that
Yeah.
generation,
Sure.
and that
Mhm.
that kind of spectacle that would happen at WrestleMania, at Royal Rumble, Survivor Series, SummerSlam, felt larger than life
Sure.
to a young kid, and then I'd
Mhm.
be able to watch it Saturday mornings, be able to watch
Yeah.
those shows. Then I'd see Hulk Hogan on TV, in movies.
Mhm.
It was like the perfect storm for a kid to kind of just like become enamored with wrestling, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, and as I grew up, like faded a little bit. I think
Mhm.
probably right before Stone Cold Steve Austin got there, and then in the late '90s, it was the biggest thing in the world.
Oh,
Like it was
everybody knew it.
everybody watched it. It was the coolest
Mhm.
thing. WWF kind of took what was making ECW so cool, and they made it their own thing.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um, yeah, so I got really back into it then, and in middle school in Philly, I had a teacher who had a picture of King Kong Bundy, who's a local wrestler in Jersey,
Yeah.
on the chalkboard, and like, do you like wrestling? It was like that. And he
Yeah.
goes, yeah. It's like, I used to go to ECW all the time. We're like, whoa, no way,
Wow. Yeah.
And it's like, yeah. It's like, now there's one that's better than ECW. And I was like, what do you mean? It's like, they're flying through barbed wire and
Yeah.
tables and
Yeah.
glass. And I'm like, I'm in middle
Mhm.
school when he's
Yeah.
telling me this, right? It's the coolest teacher in the world, Jack Zabarski. Shout out. And yeah, I went the very first independent wrestling show that I'd ever seen. All I'd ever watched on TV was really just WWF.
Mhm.
Um, so my standards are very high.
Yeah. Sure.
Was the very first Best of the Best tournament that took place in
Wow.
Sewell, New Jersey. That was the first one I actually saw in
Jeez.
person. Yeah.
That's
So like
incredible.
I went to this in Sewell. I went to Champs Arena, which was an indoor
Mhm.
soccer arena. Crazy rabid fan base. If anyone's familiar with Pro Wrestling Guerrilla's rise in like the late
Hmm.
2000s, early 2010s,
Mhm.
that's what that was before. It
Yeah.
was that CCW crowd in New Jersey.
Mhm.
They were hardcore wrestling fans who loved the violence, who loved the technical wrestling and the high flying, who maybe used to be ECW fans, who maybe Japan fans,
Sure.
um, that felt like they owned the company. They felt like
Mm.
it was their show.
Right.
This is my wrestling. That's
Mhm.
the attitude that those fans had. And it was just like such an environment to be a part of. And just like, I was super close to the ring, as a
Mhm.
teenager. I
Sure.
was like right there, and I'm watching Amazing Red have some of his first matches. And
Wow.
I'm like, that guy can't be much older than me, right? Like in my
Yeah.
head, that's what I'm thinking. So like that was my introduction to independent wrestling. Um, a year later, my brother's making friends with everyone in the locker room. He's dressing up
Sure.
like Sick Nick Mondo. Um,
That's great.
yeah, and we're breaking the ring down. We're taking the chairs
Oh,
down,
that's
breaking the ring
awesome.
down. Yeah, we're meeting the production guys.
Mhm.
Um, and a year later, we're going to the school. Both of us signed our names on the same waiver. I got my mom to sign it. She thought we were just going to hang out.
Yeah,
So
sure.
we started taking classes.
Yeah,
You know,
that's awesome.
yeah. I must have been
So,
16. He must have been 14. We
oh
were just
wow,
just taking class. 13,
jeez,
something like that. Yep.
that's awesome.
So I would go from wrestling practice at Northeast High School,
Mm-hmm.
and then that gets done at like 5:30, 6, and then I would drive an hour through rush hour traffic into Sewell, New Jersey, across the bridge. That's like an hour,
Yeah,
right? The commute,
right.
and I would do that every day.
Jeez.
Every day.
That's awesome. That's dedication. So we definitely want to talk about this more, but before we do,
Right,
our special guest is here. Our guest
special
our special guest of the end of the episode. Yes, Parmesan is with us
Parmesan!
again. He's back. Our special
Welcome back.
guest.
Of course, of all things that happen, as soon as we start, everything
Oh.
happens all at once.
Yep.
Everything. So you know,
that's exactly
we gotta
what,
love
exactly.
gotta
what it
love
is.
technology. Technology is an amazing thing. What did I miss? Did I miss the origin story of Drew Gulak?
Well, I mean, you know, we've just been chatting a little bit about Chat Point or Catch Point in Philadelphia and
Chat Point.
Chat
Oh,
Point.
I'm gonna-
Chat
Chat
Point.
Point.
Oh, I'm
Do that to
trademarking
Chat
that.
Point. Right.
Oh, that's a good
Right.
one.
Well, I don't know if it was
yeah.
mentioned
Chat
yet.
Point. Boom. It's a
I don't know if it
radio
was
show,
mentioned
R&B
yet,
show.
but do you remember your very first match and who it was against?
yeah,
Ooh.
my first like match on a show. I was
Mm.
17. It was at Northeast High School. I helped promote the show. It was for Maven Bentley Association before that was a thing. We
Mm.
raised money for Delaware Valley Association for the Education of Young Children. The main event on that card was Ruckus versus Excalibur.
Wow.
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 Yep. And then the match right before that with Eddie Kingston and Ruckus at ringside was Drew Gulak teaming with DJ Hyde, because he's the biggest
Oh,
guy I
boy.
can find in the
Oh
back,
man.
Yeah.
taking on Dante Sweet, Maven Bentley, and Robbie Dante Sweet, Sabian, who was Black G's,
Right.
and Primo Robbie Marino.
Wow.
3-on-2 handicap match. $10,000 on the line, guys.
Oh,
I'm in my high school wrestling scene.
That's
Yep.
pretty incredible.
Yeah, I'm sure you could watch that online somewhere, but it was called Somebody.
I'm sure it's on
Somebody
YouTube.
Has to Pay. April, 20 years ago, right? In April,
Jeez.
April 12th or 17th, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Now-
How's that feel? Just thinking about, you know, I mean, seriously though, but thinking about
it yesterday?
It's
Right,
like such
right.
an incredible career, like a length of time that you've been doing this.
It's nuts, man. Like the guys who I watched, like, I don't know, they've wrestled for like 3 to 5 years at most.
Yeah.
I'm in here
Mhm.
20 years. It's
Yep.
like, it's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Crazy to me. But like there's a reason for it, you know, and I
Mm-hmm.
just keep coming back to it. I've been lucky that like my body's healthy enough where I can still keep doing it, you know, and
Sure.
and yeah, it's just so surreal. And like I just hope that people in whatever walk of life they find themselves in just can find enjoyment in something, even like a sliver as much as I do doing this
Mhm.
stuff, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I heard when I came back that you guys you were talking about schools and growing up. My brother and I both went to school for different things, but very similar to what you did in Drexel. I went to school
Yeah.
for radio and audio production, whereas
Oh, cool.
Adam went to school for film and video production.
Hey,
So, did you have something else in mind before there was wrestling when you went to school for those things?
I did. Yeah. So at Northeast High School, I was part of the magnet program in there, and they have a famous program called Spark,
Okay.
which was affiliated with NASA. It was actually had to do with like launching rockets and moon landings and all sorts of. We would run like a NASA simulation. That was the
Okay,
biggest
quite
thing
nice.
they would run. So that school very much catered towards engineering, and for some reason, maybe just because I thought it was cool and I liked them, I wanted to design roller coasters.
Oh wow.
So I was
Interesting.
Yeah. So I actually went to Drexel University for 2 years because Drexel's a very big engineering school.
Yeah.
I went there as part of their as part of an architectural engineering program. So I
Ah.
would have learned, you know, different aspects of like mechanical engineering and civil engineering, you know, and building structures and that kind of thing. I did that for about 10 weeks. And then I realized I didn't like math as much as I needed to be an engineer. Bear in
Yeah.
mind, I'm still, you know, I'm training to be a professional wrestler and doing that full time while trying to do college full time. It's tough.
That's
Right.
And living on campus too, like real tough. And yeah, I wound up switching into the Antoinette Westfall College of Media Arts and Design under the film and video production department there. It's a very, very good department. That's when I learned that Philly is the headquarters of NFL Films.
Yes.
So we had a lot of crossover with their staff.
Mhm.
And then we had some, I just learned so much about like presentation and lighting and, camera work and that sort of thing and editing. The proper way to edit, to log stuff,
Yes.
to run a live
Mhm.
TV broadcast was one of our classes we had to do. That was really
Wow.
cool. So like whether I knew it or not, I knew that it would help me with wrestling. Maybe I'd go
Right.
into filmmaking in some way. And then right before I'd left Drexel, like I took a sociology course,
Okay.
and that just like that just connected with me right in the heart. Something about sociology and the school of thought and the study of people and as groups, why they do the things that they do. Like it just made so much sense to me.
Mhm.
So before I'd left Drexel, I took 2 years off. I focused on wrestling, did some
Mhm.
part-time jobs as a swimming instructor.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Which swimming, during the summers
Sure.
I work as a camp counselor.
Mhm.
So I'd be working with kids of all different ages, that kind of stuff. Yeah, just something about sociology connected with me. So I went back to community college to get my proper degree. I did that in human behavioral science, which was a combination of psych and sociology and anthropology.
Right.
Yeah, so my college journey was not the typical one,
Yeah.
kind of wish financially maybe I'd thought more about it, but like I'm super grateful for the time I'd spent at Drexel.
Sure.
Right.
And the stuff that I'd learned there and like socializing and that
Mhm.
kind of thing. But like the education there is second to none, So
Yeah.
I can't be wrong with that. And even CCP, like
Hmm.
having good teachers is the trick. So like really
Mhm.
like if you're thinking about community college or going to community college, do your due diligence, go to the Rate My Teacher site, do some
Mhm.
research,
Mhm.
take the first week or two to decide if it's right for you and then make the choice to stay or not. Because I was very fortunate to have some great teachers there and I learned so much.
Mm.
Yeah.
So basically what you're telling me is that if this whole wrestling thing doesn't work out, you've got something to fall back on.
Potentially.
Right.
Yeah, potentially.
Sure.
I probably could be. I dig into that here and there. I did
Mhm.
did some work as a developer for the WWE 2K games.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So video games is another thing I'm super passionate about. So
Right.
that could be an avenue. Who knows? And even if wrestling does continue to work out, like
Mhm.
it's more stuff I can do that I enjoy.
Yeah.
Sure.
And also
Sure.
stuff that I could bring into this discipline as well.
Well, you were a teacher during the tutorial on the 2K game. If I'm
Yes.
not
Yeah.
Yes.
mistaken. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Wow.
was a
Very
lot of fun.
surreal. Very
Yeah,
surreal.
I can
Oh my God.
imagine.
Yeah, like I grew up playing, all the WWF games, No
Right.
Mercy and WrestleMania 2000 were probably the most that two most that I'd played.
Of
most
course.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Sure.
so like for kids to like pop in their WWE 2K22 DVD or whatever Blu-ray, and the
Mhm.
first thing that pops up is this. That's insane. That's
Yeah,
you
oh.
couldn't have told
That's
couldn't
you.
have- I could have never called that years ago. Even
Yeah.
when I was working for WWE, like I didn't think that would become a thing. But,
Right.
if you're working there and you do happen to like do just not sit in the locker room the whole time and do go meet people and chat, like
Right.
good stuff's going to happen. Like it's such a big
Mhm.
company. Like
Yeah.
you're
Huge.
going to learn and you're going to explore and you're going to get better. Like that's I don't know. Like my motto there was just to do that. I couldn't be the guy who's just waiting for the producer to come and hand me a script. Like
Right.
that wasn't
Mhm.
my bag, So very fortunate that happened. I think from what I recall, the developer team were big fans of the PowerPoint presentation stuff on
Mhm.
205
Nice.
Live.
Yes.
And yeah, and if you actually go back and look at like a lot of the dialogue they wrote for me in the video game, they lifted a lot of quotes from the early 205 Live
Oh,
episodes.
nice.
It was like I remember
Nice.
reading it for the voice acting. What's up, Nick?
Mhm.
I remember reading it for the voice acting, and like it was like it was so weird. I was like, I know these words. Where do I know?
Right.
Wait, did they?
Yeah,
And then I asked them, did you guys? And they're like, yeah, we did. And
Yeah.
they're like, oh my God.
that's
So
great.
yeah, that was really neat, very surreal, and that just made me appreciate the gaming side of things even more because it's a team full of really, really passionate people who just want to make it as good as they can.
Mhm.
And if you don't know much about video game design or development, like it takes more than a year to make like a console game these days.
Yeah, like a good game.
like a big realistic
Right.
pro wrestling
Sure.
sim game. It takes more than a year. It takes probably 5 years to make a something, you know. So like what they have to do is keep updating on what's happening
Every year, which is crazy to me.
And when 22 happened, they had to take a year off because their whole team got supplanted. So it was them just kind of like finagling everything together, and then they just took a year, polished it up as much as they could. 22 came out. It got amazing reviews. It was an awesome game.
Amazing game.
Wild that I got to be a part of it. 23 came out, same deal. 24 came out, same deal. 25, I haven't seen too much about it, but I did consult on it.
Nice.
Yeah, that was cool. Like I still like, even though like I had to leave the company because of timing issues, realistically.
Right.
I got to be a part of that in some way. So it was neat to see like the island, which is what I was involved with, like kind of come to fruition and become what it is.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that team is amazing. It's nuts what they do. Like really nuts.
I really think, and I told this to Ralph before, that I think if they give themselves that time like they did for 20 and 22, each game would be better and better. I feel like the issue is having that time lock of it being once a year restricts you from creating and having the time to create a really polished game.
Yeah. I mean, look at like Cyberpunk. It took 13 years and it wasn't even finished. Release it, go, but like the time frame doesn't add up to what they're looking for. So it's a battle between like the studio and the developers to try to like figure something out. And then on top of that, they're dealing with this intellectual property, which is WWE, which is like now owned by another company that they have to deal with. So there's so many levels to like getting things approved and like submitting ideas and like being creative, where maybe if you work for a different video game, there's more of a streamlined pipeline that you can just kind of run things through and do it. Or if you're an independent developer and you're able to make your own thing, there's pros and cons to both of those things. But what they're able to do with that game for a pro wrestling game, in today's world, with today's fan base and the shows and what it is, and like all the bells and whistles that goes off in it, like they get a lot done.
They get a lot done in that short amount of time. So
and it's fun. It's a really fun game. At the end of the day, that's really all that counts. Is this thing fun to play?
Right.
And that is front and center with everything they do.
Now, sticking with WWE for a second, I've been waiting to ask somebody, and I finally had the chance to with you. What was your experience like in the no arena WrestleMania, no fan zone at the Performance Center? What was that whole day like for you?
Yeah, this is pre-Thunderdome, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, at the time it was just chaotic, right? Like the whole world was chaotic. We had to stay indoors. We could only go out when we had to go to work, that kind of thing for us, because we were considered essential personnel, I guess. Thank you, political connections, I guess.
Right.
The show must go on. So the first couple days going back, it was very much them trying to figure out what we're going to do. And they ran 2 or 3 tapings back to back. So I remember like there was a match that maybe Danielson had to be a part of. Me and him were teaming at the time. And I was on earlier in the day, maybe around 11. And we had filmed a promo, and then we were getting warmed up for our match. And then they kept throwing other matches in between us. So where we thought we were going to go on at like noon and be done and get to go home, we wound up going on at like 1 a.m. Something,
Holy crap.
Something crazy like that, right? Just because like they discovered that if it's not a live show, you can actually redo stuff if you want to. Sort of like, that kind of thing. So like it turned into essentially like what movie sets are minus the time constraints because of unions.
Right.
So, and even on movie sets, like sometimes they'll be like, all right, let's just keep going, like we'll try to hammer this down, but there are strict rules. So anyway, it just became grueling. And like those, I don't know, 3 or 4 day tapings that we were allowed to do, plus the testing, we had to come in and do a testing beforehand. That was, they were very strict about COVID testing. Very strict. So like anyone who gave them flack during that time was just talking out their ass. Big time. like drive up, get the thing jammed in your nose, drive
Right,
home. We'll
right.
call you. That's literally what we did. Yeah, so just that amount of time. And then like I know some performers struggled with like the lack of energy in the building, and it makes a huge difference when you're falling down, like when you're falling down in that ring, right? That is steel
Mhm.
with like wood, and then like mat that's like this thin, and then like canvas. And with WWE, like sometimes they have multiple canvases, which
Right.
if you're on earlier in the show, it's a stiffer bump because you got thick layers of like take your jeans, right? And then like pile them up super tight and then
Right.
like smash yourself with them. Like that's kind of what it's like falling on that. You know, by the end of the night, they're all gone and you're like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it's so much easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. So having the fans not there drains the energy from the building. So your adrenaline is not working the same way. You have to like really kind of just hyper focus on the work and zone in on the camera work.
Right.
Every professional wrestler, if you have a camera that you're getting filmed in, you need to make sure you are being presented on camera. Otherwise, it's lost forever, and then you've wasted all of that hard work. You know,
Right.
So you got to dial that in even more. But I'll tell you, I was so fortunate that I got to work for Beyond Wrestling in their early days because that was a company that was ahead of its time that did studio tapings for YouTube strictly with the wrestlers in attendance. So there were no fans, you know, and like that was like a thing that was like not cool to do at the time in wrestling. But because of like just where the media was going, like I was so fortunate that I got to go and do that over and over and over again and just kind of find myself as a wrestler, have fun. There's no pressure, right? Having that experience made me like, yeah, no fans here. Okay, let's just go and crush it. Let's have a great time.
Right.
Like also in my head, I'm thinking like there's still the crew here. There's still the camera guys that have to be here, the sound guys, that kind of stuff. There's probably more people in this room than some of the independent shows I had to working my way to becoming, you know, a WWE superstar. So, yeah, it was just a wild experience, you know, and it went from empty chairs with like them like goofing off with like the hosting of the show.
Right.
Like, don't know what we're trying to throw it together last minute, just multiple matches in a day to like, okay, now we're going to bring the NXT people in and fill up the crowd and make it look like there's an audience, but they have to stay behind the glass the whole time. You know, so that added so much to the event.
Yeah.
Just having the energy in the room. And the cool thing about having a crowd that's kind of like almost they're all plants basically. You can kind of like work the energy a little bit easier than you would with fans who are reacting organically to you. Not that they weren't reacting. Most of those guys were like newer wrestlers, so they were watching it like still in the zone, but they have that different lens of like we got to keep the energy up, you know.
Yeah.
So that makes it a lot better. To go into the Thunderdome, which was basically a dead arena again. It was just the faces of people, like this. This is
was that creepy?
Right. Was that weird for you?
It felt like you ever seen the movie Brazil?
No.
How about Blade Runner? You know,
yes.
Blade Runner?
Blade Runner, yes.
You know, like like when the cars are flying by and then you'd see like the woman just like drink Coca-Cola. like that's to me that's kind of what it was like. It was like a weird post-apocalyptic future we were living in. But you didn't get any real feedback from them, you know.
No.
So it was just it was painful. All that stuff was twice as painful. Ask anyone who was there, twice as painful. And you had to focus on the storytelling and the camera work more than anything. There were cool things that we could do, like in between matches, even like some of the shows were live, right? SmackDown was live or Raw was live. There'd be commercial breaks. And during the commercial breaks, like us and our little talking heads here who are sitting at our laptops watching Raw from the audience, were just like this. They would occasionally bring talent during the commercial breaks over to talk to the group.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So like we'd see all these pictures of them on the walls in the back in the squares, and like they'd be reacting because someone's in the back, like interacting with them in between the matches.
Right.
A few times I got to do it. I got to throw my coaching outfit on, and I'd be like, "All right, everybody, Coach Drew Gulak here. We're gonna stretch," and I'd have them all stand up.
Awesome.
And we do jumping jacks and exercises and stuff.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, just super fun and loose and laid back. Some like think Lacey Evans would go and just talk trash to all of them, call them nasty.
Yes.
You know, they're like fun interactions with the characters
Sure.
that were really like, I don't know, that's stuff that you cherish as a performer to get to do that kind of thing. Yeah, just so I can't believe that was a thing. Like we went through
Right,
that.
yeah.
All of us went through that. That was
Yeah.
nuts, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, it was good, but also terrifying.
Yeah,
Right.
of course. So thinking back to when you first came to WWE, was going from the Indies to WWE, was the whole like just the giantness of WWE, the production and everything that went into it. Was that like a big shock for you, or was that an easy transition?
I wouldn't say it was like an easy transition, but it wasn't like a surprise. I had gotten to do extra work prior to my tryout in 2015, where I was a police officer who arrested Vince.
Nice.
To me, being backstage there, it wasn't even like a show. Like I knew it was going to be big bells and whistles and the ramp and the, the ring and the arena, the size of it. Like I knew all that stuff was there, but I also knew I knew Cesaro backstage, right? I knew Brody Lee backstage, right? So like when I got to see it all in person up close in the back and kind of talk to some of the guys and the personnel, I'm like, okay, this is just like a big independent show and I could be here. Like that took all the pressure off my back. Just going there one time. It was a pretty cool experience. The week after doing that, seeing the show backstage, I got to go and watch front of house WrestleMania week. I bought like a $20 ticket. Me and another wrestler sat up in the stands. That's the one that Paige debuted and won the championship for the first time. Ultimate Warrior's last appearance, that kind of stuff. I got to see Brody wrestle, but like this is getting to see the nuts and bolts of it backstage, and then right away getting to see the front of house and how it's executed.
Yeah,
it just like I learned so much just in those 2 weeks. I was going back to CZW or Chikara or wherever I was with like, all right, guys, we got to do this with the cameras today. Like I just had so many, just such an understanding of it after that. And it really is like a well-oiled machine. You go there and it's the best camera people in the business. Like, they work every week, 3 times a week, twice a week, live camera cutting. You're not going to find that in anything else. Baseball, it's got a season. Football, it's once a week. Basketball, it's got a season. Hockey, and most of these guys do that stuff also.
Yeah,
so like, I couldn't help but like just dive in. Just dive in. And we got lucky, man. Like doing the cruiserweight division, we got lucky. So my first thing with them was the Cruiserweight Classic. And that very much was like supposed to be like a big kind of like Super Juniors tournament. Like Triple H had this sports vision that he really wanted to execute at the time. And your name is Drew Gulak. Nope, you don't got to change it. Go out there. What do you do? Okay, I wear no knee pads and shoes. Great. Okay, get out there. See ya. Okay, like I thought like WWE, they're gonna like jazz me up and like put makeup on. No, like I should have tanned. Like. You know what actually really sunk in for that one that first day, and I don't know if he remembers him saying it or not, but like the first like day at the Cruiserweight Classic, all of us are in our gear. We're nervous, me and all the other wrestlers. We're excited. We're at Full Sail, and there's like Full Sail's they call that the bowl there, and it's like a sound stage in there. They have the ramp, right? Then behind the ramp, it's not even gorilla position. It's just like a hallway.
Okay,
it's right back there. And then you go outside. There's a little room that takes you. You go down the hallway. There's another room that's the gorilla position.
Okay,
but there's like a hallway. And that's where you would load from. And then behind the hallway is outside. So we were out back of the building behind that hallway. And Triple H has all of us there. And he goes, all right, everybody. Like, listen, I want to thank you all for being a part of this. And he goes, just want to say there's a lot of traffic right now. So, like, if the seats aren't all full, like, just understand that, like, we're still getting people in there. We have to go live, for this. But, like, still bring the energy. We might not have a full crowd. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm looking around like, this is the same thing the indie promoter in New York said to me. He was like, guys, sorry, the house is going to be a little light.
Traffic's bad.
Traffic's bad. So like, and like, I'm looking at Triple H saying these words, meaning them 100% serious. There's no way he was joking. And this is what's going through my brain. So that was my first like experience with WWE, like on a stage like that, you know?
Right.
So I got a crack out of it, man. And then we did the tapings, we did the shows. They had us back for some more. They talked about there's something coming up where they were hinting at what 205 Live would become. They didn't know if they had a title for it yet. And they were just picking out talent using the Cruiserweight Classic to kind of like decide who they're going to do. 205 Live became this big like testing ground for what the WWE network could provide. You know, it was the first like live show. All right, let's make it live. Okay, let's just throw it on after the arena. It's easier to like everything's there. Let's just do it. And it was them producing content for the network. It's what, you know, led to them doing like WWE UK, you know, and NXT kind of like took from that too, that format.
Yeah.
It was an experimental thing. You know, a bunch of the writers were all like newer writers that were like being put in these head writing positions. And like all of a sudden, like Triple H isn't in charge anymore. Vince is like, I'm going to take it over, you know? And so we had to switch complete directions creatively.
Right.
Yeah. Just like, that was my first experience. Like, what the hell, dude? I'm watching these dudes come in now with like he's from TNA, he's from New Japan. I'm like, dude, I came in from freaking like, I was doing Chikara the same weekend I was booked for Survivor Series.
Right.
You know, like that was my experience coming in.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It was just like insane. And like, I'm so fortunate I got to do it. And like the guys I was part of that locker room with, like just the best. Like we really had the best time. All of us had the best time. Even when we would like to dig at each other a little bit. It was so much. We had so much fun. We had so much fun.
So after being there for 8 years, what made you decide to come back onto the indie scene?
Well, I mean, I'm a free agent, you know, and like I wasn't going to stop wrestling. So yeah, I did not pursue trying to get signed anywhere else. I could have. I definitely could have.
Right.
I still can. But like I very much am not tied down to anything right now.
Right.
Like even though I started up Catchpoint while I was still under contract, now I'm free to kind of like do whatever I want with the branding. You know, I don't have to get permission from the office.
Right.
If I can use the logo this week or not, you know. Or if I can go teach a seminar somewhere, like I can do that. So like now I've been just kind of getting back, and like it's so cool that at Lehigh Valley was, I think I talked to you guys last summer. It was the first place that like I got to kind of like really come back to. Beyond Wrestling was the first place I got to kind of come back to. Like those are two scenes that like I came from, and then I went away for I was just gone for 8 years. Gone.
Right.
Like I would check in. And like I would pop in, you know, I couldn't stay away. I'd show up to like the Uncharted Territory shows just to see how it was going and watch, and couldn't help but brainstorm with the guys while I'm still, you know, worried about my other job. So to get to come back and just kind of like find my footing again and like see what's up with the scene, and like, you know, here we are, we're in the thick of it now, and I'm just starting to get going. You know, this weekend I have 3 big matches. It's going to be a long weekend. You know, it's tougher to go away from home,
right?
Especially because I had some, you know, a little more downtime. But you know, it's part of the job, and like technology is pretty good, so
yeah,
at least keep in touch. Yeah, and thankfully I have such an awesome crew here at the school. You know, keeps me grounded.
That's incredible. So you've been you know, wrestling some places now on the independent scene again. So what has kind of been maybe like some of your favorite experiences on the indie scene since you've come back, like things that you've seen or matches you've had, places you've been?
I mean, so just meeting new people has been wonderful. You know, there's an awesome group of people coming up. I just had a match for Royalty Wrestling. You guys are there.
Masquerade Brawl.
Yeah, I just had a match with Baron Mind there.
Yes.
Who I knew from Chikara. He was starting out right when I was getting ready to go to WWE. And yeah, he's kind of taken the last year to find himself, to reinvent himself. And like we got to have this match, and they gave us like, you know, a pretty good spot on the card, and it was a very clear cut good guy bad guy kind of thing, you know. And the crowd was so fun. They were it was mostly families, right, with some hardcore wrestling fans in there. So like just to have the energy in that room, like you could have told me I was in Madison Square Garden, dude.
Right.
It would have felt the same way. It would have felt the same to me. So having those instances have been really special, and like
Mhm.
getting to see like LVAC, Lehigh Valley Athletic Council,
Yeah.
see where they've
Mhm.
grown, you know, and
Mhm.
like the Steel Stack show that I was a part of last
Oh
October.
my God.
Getting
Yeah.
to see my friends kind of perform for that kind of an
Incredible.
audience, like,
Mhm.
and just the quality that that
Yeah.
the production was amazing.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, you know, Beyond Wrestling has grown to where they're doing 2 live shows a week,
Yeah.
and like,
Incredible.
yeah, it's changed so much, you know. So like getting to see it, everybody's still going, and
Mhm.
you know, just like me, I'm still going.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
kind of cool, you know. So that's my favorite thing, is just to keep doing what I've always done.
Absolutely. So, in your opinion, then, why is the Philadelphia and Lehigh Valley area such an important part of the wrestling scene?
I think it was honestly like, it's the attitude that the city brings, right? We talked about
Mhm.
that. And then it's, you know, ECW was a huge part of it with the movement in the early 90s, and how that, and Heyman kind of like taken over, and like he created that whole like, this is our wrestling vibe,
Right. Right.
you know, and that's just kind of been echoed throughout
Yes.
time in this area. You know, Chikara was a huge thing with that. CZW was a huge thing with that, where
Mhm.
it was two extreme opposites. Ring of Honor, which started in South Philly at the Murphy Rec Center, you
Right.
know, was the same deal. It was like, okay, this is our we're the best wrestlers in the world. This is our technical wrestling.
Yeah.
Right? CZW was like, we're the most violent. We don't care.
Yeah.
Chikara's like, we're gonna give you a comic book, and you're gonna have to learn every detail
Right.
about everything.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna want to. That's the thing. Because you're gonna want to,
Yeah.
and like also it's fun and lucha, like.
Mhm.
Wild, the early 2000s, how that happened, and then like
Mhm.
other places started pulling from that and echoing it as technology kind of evolved, and then
Mhm.
communication changed. It wasn't just VHS tapes and that kind of stuff. So Philly was like the hotbed a few times throughout wrestling, you know, and people will be like, oh, it's always been a good wrestling town. Like, yeah, dude, it has, it really has,
Right.
you know,
Mhm.
the spectrum and like the history there with that building, and you know, going further back to like catch wrestling days and having events outside. Yeah, I don't know. Something about it. You know, it's Rocky, the Rocky town. It's
I
the Rocky
mean,
town. Yeah.
especially Mania last year, was that whole week of matches was just incredible.
Yeah.
Leading up to 40, not just 40, but like the indie scene, that whole
Oh,
week
yeah.
was just, we were at a bunch of shows that week. It was just incredible what they
Mhm.
were able to pull off, not just Mania itself, but the entire week of just wrestling.
Yeah. No, you know, it's kind of crazy to see how that's grown too. You know, some of the conventions and the festivals that they throw in adjacent to the big WWE tentpole events. It just makes sense. You're gonna have a ton
Right.
of fans. So like, why wouldn't you run shows there that weekend? You know.
Sure.
So that's been kind of the hallmark for independent talent to kind of get noticed, because
Yeah.
they're right there, and like very clearly, like William Regal is going to shows, and now
Right.
he's bringing
Sure.
Nick Khan to shows,
Mhm.
you know, and like head of TR Canyon Seaman is at the show, and like
Right,
whoever's
right.
head of TR now is at
Mhm.
the show. Legental, I think. Anyway,
Right, right.
but like, yeah, WWE has been actively scouting independent talent probably since, you know, before CM Punk got hired, you know,
Right.
originally back in the day. He might have been like the first one of that generation. Then after that was Brian, you know.
Mhm.
Spanky was a part of that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, just guys who kind of like post Eddie Guerrero, Jericho,
Right,
Benoit,
right.
like around, like post that whole generation, Malenko. They were the guys from the independent scene that were really coming up through the ranks, and
Mhm.
they just kind of blew the door open for everybody after that happened. And Gabe Sapolsky was center point of that, you know,
Mhm.
big influence in Ring of Honor, obviously, like running it,
Yeah.
and pushing those guys specifically. And later coming back and doing Evolve, you know, giving myself and Biff
Mhm.
Busick and Timothy Thatcher a platform to kind of change up the style and evolve the style and do what we do.
Right.
Mhm.
Luckily, William Regal happens to like technical wrestling, so
Yeah.
there we were. And then yeah, it's wild to think about, like the ripples through time, you know.
Right.
And like I can go even deeper with it and talk about how like in CZW in 2003, Tournament of Death 3 or whatever, there was a wrestler named
Mhm.
Sexy Eddie who cut an artery on his arm, right?
Oh, wow.
Accidental, cut an artery on his arm. But because the guy's a psychopath, instead of going, hey, come here and fix me, tape me up, he goes like this. and he shoots it out like Spider-Man,
Oh,
and he's
gosh.
putting it in his mouth, and the
Oh,
crowd's
God.
losing their mind. But the guy
Yeah.
has the guy's gimmick is that he's like a porn star, right?
Yeah,
He's
Right,
wrestling
right.
He's wrestling in a G-string. He looks
Mhm.
like a maniac. The thing that those fans remember was him squirting blood into his mouth, and
Yep,
that's what got
yep.
him brought back. Zandig said, "We got to bring this guy back. We got to bring the
Right.
blood guy back."
Sure.
Right.
They brought him back in November, where Mike Burns happened to be doing some kind of a pay-per-view deal where they ran a
Right.
double shot called High Stakes 2.
Mhm.
In the morning, they booked a couple showcase cards from popular smart mark video companies,
Right.
PWG and IWS. And the
Mhm.
ones from PWG, I believe it was Excalibur, Super Dragon, XS69, and Chris
Mhm.
Bosch. And then, or it might have been Beef Wellington, one of the two.
Right.
Yeah, no, it wasn't XS. That was the other one. It was Chris Bosch and Beef Wellington. So that was those four.
Right.
That was El Generico's
Mhm.
introduction, Super Dragon's
Mhm.
introduction to Philly, CZW. And then on the other card, it was it was El Generico, Kevin Owens, Kevin Steen.
Kevin Steen.
It was El Generico, Kevin Steen, XS69, and Sexy Eddie in a 4-way. So they all got kind of the rub from that situation, you know, and like it began a relationship where the West Coast independent scene was merging with Combat Zone Wrestling, and the Canadian independent scene was merging with Combat Zone Wrestling. I think IW Mid-South came in and did stuff
Right.
shortly thereafter around that time. Then Chikara was growing, and the Ring of Honor was already grown.
Mhm.
Like, dude, and that's the company I just talked about where I trained at after high
Right.
school. You know, like I was
Yep.
there
Mhm.
the whole
Yep.
time.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, just like a perfect little like intersection of everything, and then just boom, taking that all throughout time. Like we're in the effects of it now. You know,
Right.
It's all
Absolutely.
because of that. All because that dude cut his arm.
It's well,
All because that porn star cut his arm.
oh man, yeah, it's incredible to see the importance of independent wrestling grow, because you know indie wrestling fans, indie wrestlers have known for a long time, but now it seems like there's really more of a push from the bigger companies to really give independent wrestling its due, shine a spotlight on
Mhm.
independent wrestling, because yeah, I mean you're getting to a point where you can't really, you know, pull anybody from anywhere else because all of your
Yeah.
big stars are in
Sure.
independent companies.
That's just like the wheel of like what pro wrestling's always done, where it's kind
Mhm.
of circulated talent, you know,
Mhm.
and then it's very much on the talent to like figure out who they are and how they connect to an audience, you know. And like there's a bit of a sadness in there too. Like I said, when I got to WWE, I was expecting like here's your name, here's your
Right.
theme song, here's your
Right.
music, here's your costume. Like I was expecting
Mhm.
something like that, but no, they're like,
Right.
go do what you do. I was like,
Yeah.
all right,
All
cool.
right.
I'm gonna slam Gerv into the ropes,
Right.
or Harv
right.
into the ropes, or whatever it is.
Oh
Man,
boy.
Some of that.
Harv.
Oh boy.
Yep.
So this is a question that I know Sean loves, and this is
The
a question
best
that I
question.
specifically
One of the
do
best
not.
questions.
I do not like this question because it always shows how old I am.
Okay.
But thinking back, what is your earliest your earliest memory of professional wrestling?
I mean, earliest like memory, it's probably Hogan doing something or Ultimate Warrior doing something. That was the
Right.
generation I grew up in.
Right.
So that's
Um,
good. Yeah, that's okay.
The most vivid one is still like the Undertaker getting put in the casket and like getting levitated.
Right.
there.
Right.
I remember like I might have been 5 or something, maybe 7. I was young then.
Right. Of course.
And yeah, I just remember being like really freaked out and moved by
Right.
that.
Yeah.
You know, I remember like all the heels coming out and trying to put him in the casket. Like that was
Mhm.
a weird thing. It might have just been, you know what it probably was? It probably wasn't even what I was watching on TV, like thinking about how children kind of react to stuff. It was probably the reaction of the adults in the room
Right.
to what was
right.
happening on screen that made me remember that so much. They were probably all like this, like watching, like, oh my
Right.
god,
Right.
he's levitating. Like, and I'm a kid.
Right.
I'm just like, this is scary.
Yeah.
And like,
This-
all right. So even like around that same time, I remember him putting people in body bags.
Yep.
Right. I'm a
Oh,
kid
yeah,
watching
yeah.
this.
Yep.
You know, I remember the Macho Man. There was a little Macho Man, the Macho Midget. Like I remember.
Oh, yeah,
that.
yeah.
That was terrifying, by the way. But like these were all just people that walked around on the street like that to me. You know, like Bret Hart
Mhm.
walks around in pink. tights and
Yeah.
Macho Man wears tassels. and
Right,
says,
right.
"Yeah," to everyone,
Yeah.
you know, like that was just that's how I grew up. So my earliest memory is something in there.
I specifically remember when I was young, I remember watching The Undertaker lock the Ultimate Warrior in the casket. And I
Yeah.
remember vividly running into the kitchen and yelling and telling my mom about how the Undertaker locked the Ultimate Warrior in a casket. And I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if he's going to live. Like I'm
I don't know if he's
freaking
gonna
out.
make it.
I don't know if he's going to make it. What are they going to do? How are they going
Oh
to get
my
him out?
gosh, just
Yeah.
you getting traumatized.
Right, just
Yeah.
trauma.
Yeah.
Just a trauma.
Oh yeah,
But-
absolutely.
So when you're not wrestling, when you're not coaching, when you're not doing all that fun stuff,
Which when is that? Jeez.
yeah, when is that
Mm.
spare time
Yeah, it does.
What
just
do-
add up.
you like to do in that little bit of spare time that you have?
I mean, so yeah, I'm a dad. Like that's the best
Woof, woof.
thing right now. So my daughter just turned 8 months old
Oh,
yesterday.
that's
Awesome.
exciting.
Incredible.
Yeah, thank you. And it's just like that's the coolest thing. Like just having her tucked here, like while we're just chilling on the couch playing with one of her little like crinkle books, like super cool. So like that takes up a lot of time, you know,
Sure.
and then I got to go to the gym, which also lends itself to this.
Right.
But yeah,
You got a tan.
Right.
I
you
love
got
Forget
it,
about
Sam.
that.
I have to do that tomorrow, I think, in the morning.
Oh.
But yeah, I'd like my free time. I love my video games when I can. You know, I'll try to do Twitch streaming when I can because that was something really cool during the pandemic that I discovered.
Right.
I play guitar. Like that's
Mhm.
something
Oh,
I've always
nice.
done. Yeah,
Hell
dabble
yeah.
in music. Yeah, watch my movies. Watch my watch my shows. My soaps.
Watch my
Mhm.
shows.
Yeah.
Soaps. Yeah, my soaps.
Oh, that's
Speaking of
great.
shows, do we want to dive right into the main event top 5?
Well,
Oh, yeah.
you've kind of segued us in there. So
the
we're
perfect
gonna do
segue.
our main event top 5 list. And Sean, remind us again what we're talking about this week.
We had to sort of figure it out, but we finally decided on top 5 animated TV shows
Okay.
of all time,
Okay.
out of the opinion of one Drew Gulak.
All right. Top
Yep.
5 animated TV shows of all time. And like
Mhm.
I could list so many. I could really list so many. And I didn't make a PowerPoint presentation.
Right? No, there's
think
no
I'll
proper
well,
presentation
listen,
here.
You know,
So
this isn't
so-
the no animate.
so
zone.
I'm just gonna start with number 1.
Number 1.
Okay.
Start with number 1 all time. Samurai Jack.
Oh wow!
Oh, that's a great pick.
yes.
Oh man.
If you've seen it, the visual style hooks you right away.
Mhm.
So
The
good.
s- The story is very simple, right? But
Mhm.
it's super moving. It's super moving.
Mhm.
As the series progresses, he has a goal, right?
Yeah.
And it just keeps getting pulled out of reach. And then at the end, you
Mhm.
think he's going to get it. And then you realize like some real dark stuff happens in the last season. And
Mhm.
it just takes an adult turn. Like the whole time he's fighting robots, you know,
Right.
that just explode
Right.
because
Mhm.
he's a samurai from the past trapped in the future trying to get back home.
Right.
And something happened where they just, you know, they got the approval and like now he's fighting people and it gets pretty gruesome and there's some new characters introduced by the end. It's just it's beautiful. It's a beautiful show for that format, you know, where it's like a 30-minute episodic
Mhm.
cartoon, you know. That's
Right.
all that is. That's what that is. And for them to do as much as they did with that format, it's awesome. So that's my number 1.
And
That is
it's hard to make people care about a cartoon character like that because
Yeah.
that's the big point of this is that like that show, it draws you in, it makes you want to know what's going to happen to this character because you start to really care about this character, and that's
Yeah.
not easy to do with a cartoon.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's a good one. So Samurai Jack, number 1.
Awesome.
Number 2, all time, Cowboy Bebop.
Oh wow.
Whoa,
Okay.
all
All
right.
right.
If you
Yes.
guys are familiar
Yes.
with that one.
Yes.
So late
Yes.
80s, early 90s anime
Mhm.
from Japan.
Absolutely.
26 beautiful episodes in one standalone movie that is excellent also.
Mm-hmm.
It's I think it's the perfect like anime in that format.
Mhm.
Yeah, the space bounty hunting kind of thing. Like I dig that too. Like Outlaw Star is another one I really like that came out at the
Okay.
exact same time as Cowboy
Right.
Bebop, which I dug. But like for something about Bebop, like the way. So again, it goes back to the main character, this guy named Spike. He's got this mysterious backstory that you kind of like
Mhm.
learn bits and pieces of as the show
Mhm.
goes, and he's got a romance that he's trying to rekindle or maybe get back to. He might that people think he's dead, but he's not.
Mhm.
There's gangs and stuff in space. Again, that's like kind of an episodic show, but with the anime format, what they do is they'll drop like a heavy plot point in the first episode, then they'll do one mid-season, then they'll take it home at the end, and they kind of like jump through all these different threads where every main character is four or five main characters in that show that all have their own threads, and they get introduced a little by little. It's perfectly balanced. The reason I got hooked on that show in the first place, and anime in general, is because I stayed up late at night and I saw this episode, which was called The Mad Piero.
Okay.
Piero LeFou. And it's, as a standalone episode, it's probably the greatest on TV all time. Spike, the main character bounty hunter, he's frustrated. He goes off on a bounty that's a little too dangerous for him. Gets blown away basically by this dude who's just like this big penguin looking top hat wearing crazy eyed beard guy who's got a force field and a gun that's an umbrella.
Oh God.
And he levitates too. It's like completely superhuman. And he's never faced anything like this. This dude just wipes out everybody for no real reason. Spike almost dies. He gets back to the ship somehow, and he's almost dead. And his crewmates are basically like, just leave it alone. Leave it alone. Leave it alone.
Right.
He just can't. He can't. Something about his past, he can't put it down. So he goes back after this guy. And from what a buddy of mine was telling me was that the creator of the show happened to be tripping on acid when he wrote it.
Of course.
So I don't like spoilers. I don't want to spoil anything else about the show, but that was the one that did it for me. That show is amazing. I love all the characters on that show.
That show has such a vibe to it, and it starts with the opening theme song, which I think is probably my favorite animated theme song of all time, because it's got such a feel to it. Like they're mixing these genres together, and it's just,
let's go. So that's the thing.
It's so good.
So Cowboy Bebop is about the jazz movement. Like when you get down to the themes, like it follows jazz. His other shows do stuff with different genres of music too. It's very cool. Number 3 for me is going to be the Dave Filoni ran Clone Wars show, Star Wars Clone Wars.
Okay.
Oh,
Gotcha,
huge Star Wars nerd, huge Star Wars nerd. Specifically, the last season, I think it's gorgeous. It's freaking gorgeous. And like, I love the Bad Batch and I love Rebels, but I think Clone Wars just had the right balance. The first season is a little tricky to get through because it's geared towards younger people, because the characters are also younger and more mature.
Yeah.
But like by the end of that season, Jedi are getting electrocuted and dying. So I'm like, all right, here we go. They have one of the coolest characters, Cad Bane, who got introduced. He's based off of the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly character Angel Eyes.
Okay.
If you're a Star Wars fan at all and you haven't seen this, you need to go and see it. It's freaking awesome. Freaking amazing. So that's number 3 for me, is Clone Wars. Number 4 for me, I'm gonna go Rocko's Modern Life.
Oh my God, yes. So good. Amazing pick.
Rocko's Modern Life.
Oh man.
That was so the Nicktoons is like right when I was starting to like understand what stuff was. I was growing up with Nickelodeon Nicktoons.
Right.
You had the first 3, which were Doug, Rugrats, and Ren and Stimpy, which were all great. But then like the new one came out, and that was Rocko's Modern Life. And that was like, they took all the best parts of Ren and Stimpy and just kind of like made it a little wackier, but a little easier to understand. Joe Murray is the creator on that one. And like the animation style is great. Like there's no real straight lines. If you watch that, it's very Dr. Seuss kind of inspired that way. And just, it's funny, man. The stuff they hide in that show too, for like adults. Like that was a good one, actually. If you think about it, like the Ren and Stimpy stuff was very blatantly obvious, adult oriented, but if you're a kid, you just think it's silly. With Rocko, it was a little more tongue in cheek, and I think I just liked the main character was just kind of unassuming guy who was just trying to make his way through everyday scenarios that just happened to turn out crazy.
Right.
Very much love Rocko's Modern Life. So that's my number 4 pick. And then
number 5, the last one.
Number 5 is going to be tricky if I got to throw it onto a list. Give me a second.
Last one, baby.
There's got to be something. This is going to be the toughest one. There's literally so many.
Go for it.
It is tough.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to say South Park.
South Park. Okay, good.
Yeah,
good,
if we're talking, because we're talking animated series, right?
Right.
And what that show kind of is and has done, it's kind of like it went through the same thing that like wrestling went through at the
Right,
same time. There
right.
was this counterculture movement in the
Mhm.
90s, and
Yes.
South Park
Yes.
was it.
Yeah.
And like it was at first, it was just shock. It was all shock and like,
Oh, yeah.
my
Oh,
god,
yeah.
you can't believe. And they're little paper cutouts
Yep.
that they
Mhm.
later, and like the way that the show evolved into like this insanely brilliant satire of pop culture and like
Mhm.
American
Mhm.
culture. It's just so good. It's so good. There's one episode that I played a lot recently for the guys here, where they're going to create world peace in Israel by uniting Islam, Christianity, and Judaism all under one logo. And they have all the main symbols from each religion, and they play a gong, like an Undertaker gong, a bunch of times. It starts merging together. And like picture all those symbols, right?
Right.
And they merge together, and it forms the Van Halen logo. And then you hear dun, 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 and then Randy's in the crowd. He goes, "No way, no way!" And Van Halen comes out, and they just have a concert. And like
That's amazing.
that sums it up for me. Is how
Yeah.
like bizarre and far out they go, and they just make everything like all these real world problems that we legit live with and are stressed out about every day,
Right.
and it trickles down.
Mhm.
They just figure out the most absurd way to look at it, and it kind of throw it back in your face, and it just
Right.
makes you feel good. You know, it makes
Yeah.
you feel okay with everything.
Yeah.
So like on so many levels, I have to put that show on there, and like that's an easy one. People go, "Oh yeah, South Park because it's super popular." Like there's a reason why.
Yeah. No, there's a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my number 5.
Watching that show in the
could
first
keep
few
going,
seasons.
but yeah, we don't have
Sure,
time.
sure. No. But watching that show in the first few seasons, it felt like you were like you had your own little secret club.
Right.
Because it
right.
was very, just like NXT on the network when it first, was big on the
Or
network.
just like
same
when
thing.
the Attitude Era was
Yeah.
popular, it's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, did you guys just suck it? Yeah, okay. So, like it was the same.
Yeah.
Right.
It was the same vibe,
Yeah.
Cheesy
All
poops,
right.
yeah.
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 All
Mr.
right. Well,
Hanky,
that's
hilarious.
that was an excellent list. Some things I had not thought
Thanks.
about in a while.
It was, yes.
Very, very good picks.
Very good.
All right. So what's going on in the world of Drew Gulak? What do you got coming up?
So I'm gonna keep bookings updated on my social media pages. You can follow
Gotcha.
me to my link tree there. It's my tour. If you go to drewgulak.com, there's a bunch of links that'll take you there. My full-on wrestling bio and resume is there as well if you're interested in bringing me out for anything.
Yes.
I'm taking limited bookings for wrestling appearances, seminars, speaking engagements, acting roles, in voice acting mostly, and it's very limited. So for some reason, if you're interested in having me come on out, let's make it happen.
Yes.
Get in touch with me. drewgulak.com is your way to do it. If you would like to train to become a professional wrestler, visit www.thecatchpoint.com. We have class every single day here in Philadelphia. And no matter what your goals are, our job, you are hiring us to train you how to become a professional wrestler, whatever that means to you and whatever your goals are. We do not discount people if they just want to do this casually and learn about it. Come on down. If you want to try to make it to the big times, come on down. Like we have the experience to get you to where you need to go. And it's fun. We have fun, man. It's a very safe, welcoming, inclusive environment. And they're having a good time right now. And as much fun as I love talking to you guys, I got to get out there because I need my training too.
All right.
Of
Well,
course.
this has been phenomenal getting a chance to sit down and talk to you. I know Sean and I have both been excited for this for quite
Yes.
some time to get you on a full episode because we've had little conversations here and there, but it's been you're almost like another member of the team now because you've been on so many times.
I can't help it.
But,
Every time I see you guys there, I'm like, I got to get in.
Right.
Yeah. It's always a good time talking to you. Thanks for joining us, giving us your time. We really appreciate it, and we'll have to work something out and come down to the school and check out things.
Oh, yeah.
Give me a shout when you
Absolutely.
you want to come on down. Thanks.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's great. All right. Well, that's going to do it for episode 101 for Drew Gulak, for Parmesan. I am King Ralph. And remember, kindness is free. So be kind to each other. God
That's
bless
right.
you. And we will see you next time.
Well, that's it. I really hope you enjoyed it. We had a ball making it. Thank you